Good morning. A tough one for your team on Saturday, a game that went back and forth all afternoon, and you guys were certainly right in, but come up a little short, 27-24. Just give me your impressions on the game and the way your team played.
Yeah, I was really pleased, how we came out in the first half, had good energy, responded to some adversity. Unfortunately for Coach Merritt and their team, as we were driving down the field, one of their defensive ends, came upfield, took a real nasty hit, and it was a scary moment. The backboard comes out, and whenever that happens in a football game, there's no sides anymore. It's all about player safety, and I got word in the second half that the young man passed his test and was cleared, got some screening, so that was good. But we kept our focus and did some good things on both sides of the ball in the first half, and then the second half, extended our lead a little bit early. Got pinned down with some poor special teams play, receiving punts and whatnot, and then let them back into the game. And our guys battled through 60 minutes just like they always do. I can't take anything away from the players' effort day in, day out. They give everything they got to this program and to the coaches. But it's a short end of the stick again, and you get down there late in the game and get a weird section of events where we throw a ball away. There's a tight end about 6 yards away. They give us an intentional grounding call. I don't know where to spot it. I got my field goal kicker out there, stepping forward, stepping back, stepping forward, stepping back, and may have iced them a little bit and kicked it out low, and they got a good hand on it, and that was that. So good job by Bryant, but we got to continue to keep growing as we have been the last couple of weeks.
Certainly, a lot to like on the offensive side. Jack with 22 of 31, 235. 2 touchdowns and no picks. What went better for you in the passing game on Saturday?
We try to get Jack out of the pocket more, kind of shrink some of the visions he has to see out there and eliminate some of the progression type stuff. And he was putting the ball on target. In the first half, there was really only one incompletion he threw, and that was batted down at the line of scrimmage. So he was locked in, dialed in, relaxed. But it's one of those things. While Jack's an older player, he's not a experienced player, so like his growth progression's still coming along. He's still got room to grow in this game, and I think you're starting to see it. The 2 weeks out kind of stifled him a little bit, and now as he's come back, I think he's knocked the rust off and he's playing at the level we expect.
It was a better day also from your offensive line. Do you think, giving it some time, and you guys had some success in the running game too?
Yeah, I mean. Those guys battle. It's been the same five. We've mixed in a couple new guys as we've gone, but pretty much the same five holding it down all year. They're a tight group, and they work as hard as they can. And Dave Buchar will say it time and time again. He's one of the best O-line coaches in the country. He's got five guys working in the same direction, and that's vital. So I'm proud of those guys. They're going to continue to battle, and hopefully we can grow on it.
And then just one more on the offensive side. We've talked about Griffin, and like I said, we all remember a couple of years ago, Rookie of the Year, and he's battled so many injuries. But another game where he's contributing in more ways: 50 yards alleged and rushing, also had 45 receiving yards. How much closer do you see him getting back to where you would like to see him back to?
I think Griff in his own mind is back. It's just a matter of management. You can't. He never was, and I don't think he's built to be a 20-plus carry a game guy. But he's multidimensional and skilled, as a receiver and a runner. So it's something that we need to continue to impress upon each game plan, getting him in positions where he can make plays for us.
Defensively, a decent day. You hold them to 351 yards and only 81 on the ground. You forced a couple of fumbles. How did you feel like your guys on that side performed on Saturday?
I felt downs 1 through 3, they performed awesome. That created turnovers the first time we played complimentary football this season, where the turnovers led to points. But you look at as I was talking to our staff yesterday, the way the game shapes up for them, they held Bryant 2 of 12 on third downs. Bryant was 4 of 4 on fourth downs, and that's kind of what happened in the game with them. But I'm proud of those guys. They continue to rally the ball and be physical and be selfless. There's a couple guys playing positions on the defense that might not be in the best interest of them, but they're doing it for the team, and that's kind of a testament to the culture that we're building here. It's subsurface right now, but when it breaks through, it's going to be special.
Another big day from Chris Gale's 10 stops in the game, another sack from Balasama Kamara. Just talk about the day that those two guys had, or anybody else on the defensive side that you felt like played well.
Yeah, I think those two and Dylan Donovan continues to grow as our Mike Backer. He's our guy who's making the calls and really coming into his own. He's an inclined athlete. He's a bigger kid. He's 230 pounds and runs like the wind. But Chris has really fallen into this position where he's getting to let his athleticism shine. And Sama's working through so much stuff. Like this is the first game he's had where he could utilize both hands. He's had a nub club on one for the entirety of the season, so he was really excited about that. But he continues to be a force there for us on the edge, and he makes havoc. And the sack, strip, force, fumble, that was Sama. And we recovered the ball on our sideline, and 3 plays later, we scored a touchdown to go up 24-17. So if we can continue at this rate and, shrink the game offensively, I think we're going to be, tough these last 2 games.
Saturday is your final home game of the season, which means it's senior day. And for you, I'm guessing this class is as special as you've gone through your transition and guys that stuck with you and have helped you get where you want to go. Just talk about what senior day is going to mean to you on Saturday, and maybe talk about some of your guys.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think it's a player's day for sure, and I think it's a player's game. So I'm just a cog in the wheel when it comes to that. You look at some of these guys who have been here, like Brad Agwicki since I've been here. He was recruited before I got here. Griffin Waddell after I got here. Carter Moses. Josh Gaffney was here before I got here. Brock Borer. There's a number of guys who are taking the walk this weekend. We spoke on it Sunday. A lot of coaches will say, let's not make senior day bigger than what it needs to be. I think, you owe your players the right to be able to walk off the field with a win. The last time they walk up that purple path and go into that locker room as a Dane at home, you want to do everything you can do with preparation and making sure we're aimed directly in the right spot to get a win.
Do you feel like, and just kind of building on that despite some of the struggles that your guys, you mentioned at the outset that your guys continue to play hard, how much of that is a credit to the guys in your locker room and to your coaching staff to make that happen?
It's everything. I mean, leadership's only as good as those who will follow. And, we have good player leaders, we have good coach leadership, and, it's a tight group, man. I keep saying it's unfortunate that the year has gone the way it has, because when you look under the surface for those who are involved, you got so many caring people in all capacities of this program who are working tirelessly to be successful. And to be on the downside of so many, yeah, we're fighting against some stuff, but who cares? Excuses are for wussies, and our kids know that, and they're not going to stop battling just because of our record or anything. Football is a great opportunity, and they continue to show me with their actions that they believe that.
Carlson is coming to UAlbany. As you've kind of started to dive into the Tigers a little bit, what are some of the challenges they present for your team?
We'll start with their offense. They got a really good young quarterback from St. Thomas Aquinas down there in Florida. Kid does a really good job protecting the ball. He doesn't put it in harm's way. They're a running back by committee. They have a couple guys who carry the rock, and the quarterback can run with it as well. And then their receiver corps probably doesn't get enough credit. They're a really, really veteran group, and there's a lot of good receiving corps in this conference. The URIs, the Mamas, the guys who put up PlayStation numbers every weekend. So offensively, they got a lot that you have to concern yourself to stop. Defensively, they're based in an odd front structure. They got big, thick D linemen who are tough to move. A lot of speed on the second and third levels. Got one of the best corners in the conference with Brody. So, we're going to have to pick and choose our places to attack them and be really calculated about it. And then, special teams wise, it seems like Towson always, sprouts up since Dave Maggett. Just a dangerous returner somewhere there. We got to work cut out for us. They've played better on the road than they have at home this year, and they're coming to us. So we got to defend the home turf.
All right, Jared. Thanks as always for the time today, and we'll talk.